My dad's funeral hadn't even ended when my stepmom said, "Your name isn't on anything." I just listened. The next day, she showed up to claim his office and froze when she saw my name engraved on the door. I stood there, numb, as the final words were spoken at my father's funeral. The air was thick with grief, but amidst the sorrow, a cold voice pierced through. "Your name isn't on anything," my stepmother, Diane, whispered, her eyes devoid of emotion. I turned to her, surprised by the audacity of her statement, but chose to remain silent. This wasn't the time or place for confrontation. The next morning, I arrived at my father's law office, a place filled with memories of late-night discussions and shared dreams. To my astonishment, Diane was already there, attempting to unlock the door. "What are you doing here?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked at me, feigning surprise. "I'm here to take over. As his wife, everything he owned is now mine." I took a deep breath, trying to suppress the anger bubbling within me. "Dad left a will. Perhaps we should discuss this with his attorney." Diane scoffed, dismissing my words. "I don't need a will to claim what's rightfully mine." I stepped aside, allowing her to enter. As she walked in, her eyes landed on the door to the main office. There, engraved in bold letters, was my name. She froze, her face turning pale. "What is this?" "Dad made me a partner last year. This office, this firm, it's mine now." Diane's eyes narrowed, her voice dripping with venom. "You manipulated him. This was supposed to be mine." I stood tall, meeting her gaze. "Dad made his decisions. If you have any issues, I suggest you take it up with his attorney." Over the next few weeks, Diane attempted to challenge the will, but her efforts were in vain. The court upheld my father's wishes, and I assumed control of the law firm. Diane moved out of the family home shortly after, cutting all ties with me. While the experience was painful, it taught me the importance of standing firm and honoring my father's legacy. His trust in me was not misplaced, and I dedicated myself to upholding the values he instilled in his practice. Diane didn't go quiet for long. 2 days after the reading of the will, I got a call from the front desk. Someone had shown up trying to get access to the file storage downstairs. It was her. She claimed she needed some old family documents and waved around her marriage certificate like it was a golden ticket. I came down, calm on the outside but boiling inside. "Diane," I said, standing between her and the storage door, "you know damn well this is not your place anymore." She didn't flinch. "You think I care about the office? You think I don't know about the properties? The offshore account?" Her eyes narrowed. "He told me things when he was drunk. That caught me off guard." I hadn't heard about any offshore anything. I kept my face still. "Whatever you're talking about, it's not here." "And you're not welcome," I said, waving to security. She didn't fight. She just smirked. "You think you've won. But you haven't even started." After that, things started to get weird. A week later, a guy from the IRS showed up at my office asking about my dad's financials. Said someone tipped them off that the law firm had been hiding money. They didn't find anything because there was nothing to find. But it shook me. I started double-checking everything. My dad had kept things clean except for one drawer. In the bottom of his old desk, taped under the drawer, I found a flash drive. No label. Just sitting there, like it was waiting for me. It had scanned documents, property deeds, wire transfers, a P.O. box in Nevada, and an encrypted folder labeled Sunrise. I didn't know what any of it meant. But I did know one thing: Diane wasn't making empty threats. The next night, my tires were slashed. No note. No witnesses. Just 4 flat tires in the middle of a quiet neighborhood. The police wrote a report, shrugged, and left. "Could be random," they said. Right. I knew it wasn't. The office started getting calls. Some anonymous voice saying he wasn't as clean as you think. Another time, check the Cayman files. Clients got spooked. I had to talk down 3 longtime partners from pulling out. I felt like I was living in a slow-motion train crash. I decided to meet with my dad's oldest friend, Marcus. A retired judge, practically an uncle to me. He looked over the flash drive. When he got to the folder labeled Sunrise, he went pale. I told him to get rid of this, Marcus said quietly. What is it? I asked. He didn't answer right away. Your father did some work during the housing crash. Helped some very rich people keep very shady assets. It was legal. Fairly. But it was risky. And if Diane knows this, she's got leverage. I sat back, stunned. Why would he keep records? Marcus shook his head. Ego. Guilt. Maybe both. I asked if Diane could access any of it. If she's smart and she's desperate, yes. The next morning, I got to the office and found someone had broken in overnight. Nothing stolen. Nothing obvious. Just rearranged. And the drive was gone. I stared at the empty drawer for a long time. Diane wasn't bluffing anymore. She had the evidence. And now I had no idea what she was going to do with it. I changed the locks, installed cameras, hired a private investigator. And then I started looking into her hard. Her past wasn't clean. 2 bankruptcies. One ex-husband who vanished off the map. A wellness retreat she ran in Arizona that had been shut down by the state for unlicensed medical practices. But that wasn't the worst of it. She had a connection to one of my dad's old clients, someone from the Sunrise folder. Someone currently being investigated for wire fraud and racketeering. That's when I realized. Diane wasn't just digging for revenge. She was trying to leverage what my dad had left behind into protection or power. And now she had my name, my firm, and my father's secrets in her hand. I wasn't going to let her win. But I was also starting to realize I didn't know the whole story. And I might not like it when I found out. The day after I found the flash drive missing, I got a letter. Not an email. A printed letter, hand-delivered to my house. Inside was a photo. My father, Diane, and a third man I didn't recognize. They were sitting together at a dinner table, laughing, a bottle of scotch on the table, a time stamp in the bottom corner, 2018. Under the photo, a sticky note. He told us everything. We're just waiting. No signature. No explanation. I scanned the photo, tried running facial recognition on the third man. No hits. The private investigator I hired, Miles, called the next day. He said Diane had taken 2 trips out of the country in the last year. One to Panama. One to Zurich. Both trips were booked last minute. Both right after large cash deposits were made to her personal account from an unknown source. He also found out she had been speaking to a man named Eric Langston. That name meant nothing to me. Until Miles explained, Langston was a former tech lawyer turned facilitator. He helped people move money off the radar. He was disbarred 6 years ago for destroying financial evidence in a divorce case. She was trying to move something. Or someone. The next twist came when one of my dad's clients, Murray Whitlow, showed up at my office unannounced. He was in his 70s, usually calm, but this time he looked panicked. I need to talk, he said, shutting the door behind him. He sat down and didn't wait for small talk. Your father, he helped me move some money. Back then, it didn't seem like a big deal. But now, someone's asking questions. And Diane reached out to me. She said she could make the questions go away, for a fee. Blackmail. She wasn't just targeting me, she was hitting his old clients. Selling silence. Murray pulled an envelope from his coat. She wanted this. Said it would buy my quiet. Inside were papers. Scans from the Sunrise folder. Wire transfers. Signatures. One of them was my dad's. Another looked like Diane's. And a third? Mine. Forged. She was trying to pin something on me. Frame me. I didn't even know the names on half of those documents, but if the wrong person saw them, I could lose my license. The firm. Everything. Miles started digging harder. He found something even I didn't expect. Diane wasn't just reaching out to old clients. She was in contact with a journalist. A man who specialized in financial crime, whistleblower cases. He had already written 2 exposés on fraudulent firms with ties to offshore accounts. If he published something with my name in it, even as a rumor, I'd be done. I needed to act fast. I called Marcus. "I need a favor," I said. "A big one." We met in the back of a church. No cameras. No windows. I told him everything. Showed him the forged papers. The photo. The blackmail. The journalist. He didn't say much. Just listened. Then he pulled out a burner phone. "Send me every name you've found so far. And leave Diane to me for now." I trusted him. He wasn't just a retired judge. He had contacts. Deep ones. 3 days later, the journalist published an article. But it wasn't about me. It was about Eric Langston. It exposed his network. Offshore shell companies. Illegal property deals. Anonymous buyers in South Florida. Guess who was listed as a close contact? Diane. Her name wasn't front and center. But it was in there. And it spooked her. Because she disappeared. Phone? Disconnected. House? Empty. Her car? Found in a long-term parking garage in Atlanta. I thought it was over. Or maybe just quiet. Until I got another letter. This time, it wasn't a photo. It was a death certificate. My father's. Except the name on the informant line, the person who claimed the body wasn't me. It was her. I'd never seen that before. My name had been on everything else. The funeral arrangements. The documents. But the official record? She had somehow managed to place herself there. As next of kin. Which meant she had legal power in ways I didn't know. What else had she done behind my back? I thought I knew what this was about: money. Power. But maybe it was more. Maybe it started before he died. And maybe Diane didn't just want his assets. Maybe she had something to do with how he died. I didn't want to believe that. Not at first. But then I found the voicemail. The one he left me 2 days before he collapsed. I had ignored it. Too busy. Too tired. I played it. His voice was weak. Strained. "Hey, if anything happens, don't trust her. She knows. More than she says. I think I made a mistake." That was it. No name. No details. But I knew exactly who he meant. And now I was sure of 2 things. She didn't just want control. She wanted the whole damn story buried. And I was the only one left who could dig it up. I didn't sleep much after hearing that voicemail. It played over and over in my head. I think I made a mistake. That was what haunted me the most. My dad, always so calculated, always in control, sounded scared. Like he knew he was out of time. I didn't tell anyone about the voicemail. Not even Marcus. Instead, I took it to Miles. He listened once, then looked at me and said, "You need to be ready. This doesn't end with court documents. This is something else." We started pulling every string we could. Miles found Diane's hotel receipts from weeks before my dad died. She had stayed in a motel near the hospital, even though she lived 15 minutes away. That was odd. Then he got his hands on the toxicology report. My dad's cause of death had been listed as a stroke. Natural causes. But the report showed traces of digoxin, a drug used for heart conditions. It wasn't part of his prescription. Too much of it could look like a heart attack. Or a stroke. And the bottle? Signed out under Diane's name at a private pharmacy in another state. There it was. Not proof, not legally, but enough for me to know what happened. She didn't just want him gone. She made sure he was. And I let her get close. I let her stand next to me at his funeral. I let her walk away from the will with no public fight. Because I wanted peace. That was my mistake. And now I had to fix it. I leaked the voicemail anonymously to the same journalist Diane had contacted. I sent the toxicology report. I even sent the photo of her with that mystery man, who we eventually identified as a fixer from Miami who had vanished 2 years ago after a federal probe. The journalist ran with it. The story exploded. Headline: Wealth, Death, and Disappearance. Widow tied to offshore scandal in sudden death of prominent attorney. Within 24 hours, the police were at Diane's last known address. But she was gone. Interpol got involved. Warrants were issued. Meanwhile, I got a letter from a Swiss bank. Addressed to me. My dad's handwriting. It had been mailed automatically, triggered by his death. Inside was a simple message. If you're reading this, then I messed up. But I trust you. Use this money to make it right. Don't let her win. Attached was an access code. The account held just over $4.7 million. Clean. Unlinked. That money was meant to protect the firm. Maybe protect me. I didn't touch it. Instead, I used it to pay off the clients she tried to blackmail. I hired lawyers for the ones under investigation. I cleared my dad's name where I could. And then I used the last of it to hire someone to find her. It took 6 months. They found her in the south of France, living under a fake name, wearing a blonde wig, running another scam with new rich investors. The authorities got her. She didn't fight. She didn't cry. But she stared at me during the trial like I'd ruined her life. She was charged with fraud, identity theft, and accessory to manslaughter. They couldn't prove murder. But she got 28 years. Not enough, in my opinion. But enough to make sure she rots behind bars. I testified. Calm. Cold. People said I looked just like my dad up there. The way I spoke. The way I stared her down. Maybe I did. Afterward, Marcus said to me, "You burned it all to the ground. You okay with that?" I told him the truth. No. But I'd do it again. My mistake was trusting her. My dad's mistake was underestimating her. But her mistake? She left me standing. And I don't go down easy.